this is good.
That connect them all, and again, it just works. And again, it just works.
Going back to before Fallout 4's announcement, this was a game that was highly anticipated. At the time, Bethesda Game Studios was probably considered by most fans as the best gaming developer, following the masterpieces that were The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim and Fallout 3. But what happened with Fallout 4 was really surprising, because this is a game that has exposed Bethesda Game Studios for many flaws that have followed their games over the years. Unfortunately, this may be hard to hear, but Fallout 4 is Bethesda's biggest mistake.
I was the kid. I was writing games when I was, 12, whatever. And the other kids in the block would say, I'm going to play quarterback for the Cowboys. And I'd be like, I'm going to make video games and everyone's going to play them. Like, you dork. Go back to the chess club. Who's laughing now? Yes, I was in the chess club.
Fallout 4 has always and will always be a solid game, but for Bethesda Game Studios standards, this was disappointing. This game clearly sold very well, reportedly shipping over 12 million copies and making $750 million worldwide just on its launch day alone. Recently, Bethesda also revealed that Fallout 4 has surpassed The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim as being their most successful game ever. Fallout 4 additionally received critical acclaim all across the board, with IGN giving it a 9.5 out of 10, Games Radar giving it a 5 out of 5, Game Informer 9 out of 10, Polygon 9.5 out of 10, and so on and so forth. You kind of get the idea. So some of you may be asking, how does such a successful and critically acclaimed title become a disappointment? And Bethesda's biggest mistake? Well, we need to go back to where it all began. Obviously, this is not the very beginning, but this is Bethesda's first Fallout game after obtaining the rights from Interplay Entertainment, the title that really created a massive community. Fallout 3 was a phenomenal RPG, featuring an interesting open world to explore, an amazing story and side quests, terrifying creatures, a beautiful musical score, and just really a game that was dark and showed the horrors of what a post-apocalyptic world could look like. Sure, the game had some misses with a ridiculous amount of bugs and weak combat system, but Fallout 3 was just so much more, with all the mysteries and little things put within the game, as well as the spectacular DLC expansions to follow. This really put Bethesda Game Studios in the discussion as one of the most pro-consumer and best developers within this industry. While I still think Obsidian Entertainment's Fallout New Vegas, which came 2 years later, is the best Fallout game to date, I can sit back and appreciate what Fallout 3 was. Now, only a few years later, after Fallout 3, Bethesda Game Studios really solidified their spot as one of the top gaming developers with the masterpiece of The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. But once The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was completely finished with no more DLC, a lot of rumors, leaks, and questions began to ramp up about what could be next. In 2015, we got our answer, and that was Fallout 4. Many fans had lost hope, and others like myself knew it was going to happen eventually, but still felt surprised once it officially was unveiled. There was just so much excitement. One of gaming's most beloved developers had finally revealed the next installment to arguably one of gaming's most interesting and enjoyable franchises. But even with the loud excitement, not everyone was sold. The game's graphics looked a bit weird, really going away from the horrifying atmosphere which was present in Fallout 3 and New Vegas to something that looked overly saturated, I guess. Either way, many of the initial worries were squashed, and Bethesda did a perfect job marketing, revealing a release date only 5 months away, announcing a value season pass at $30 and showed some gameplay highlighting all the improvements. But now, once all the anticipation and excitement was behind us and the actual game was in our consoles or on our PCs, we got to experience a decent but disappointing game. Fallout 4 provided hundreds of hours of things to do, but ditched the very foundation that made Fallout 3 such a beloved game. While combat was clearly improved, the role-playing elements and decisions were almost non-existent, discussion with other characters was dumbed down to just a few words, a voiced protagonist on paper sounds like a good idea, but it was a miss. The horrifying and creepy atmosphere was traded for a more colorful world, which really took away from the experience. The bugs that had been present in almost all Bethesda Game Studios titles before were a major issue at launch and to this current day. And just sitting here thinking about it more, we also have the extremely long loading screens, companions constantly being lost. I mean, at one point Nick Valentine was missing and stuck on a rooftop that took me months to find him. Also, even though combat is clearly improved, it still needs a huge overhaul. And this needs to be emphasized, the bugs and lack of polish is just outrageous. All games have bugs, but nothing compares to a Bethesda Game Studios title. It's kinda sad that's what their reputation is right now. But yeah, there was just a lot of problems. Fallout 4 plain and simple exposed Bethesda Game Studios' flaws. Besides just the ones I listed off a second ago, there really are a few more major flaws that Bethesda should have considered when approaching the development of Fallout 4. The first being the game should have gotten a whole new engine. Bethesda just cannot for some reason steer away from the Gamebryo engine, and that is a problem. The clunky and buggy gameplay that has plagued them for decades now is caused by this outdated engine, and upgrading the Gamebryo engine to the Creation engine has just been a band-aid to something that really needs to be addressed. This game engine is the source of a lot of Fallout 4's problems, and it may take some time, but it's time for them to invest in a new engine. Additionally, the other major flaw that came with Fallout 4 was Bethesda's decision to attract a more general audience of players. Steering away from an RPG into a shooter is exactly what happened with Fallout 4 and is seen in many players' eyes as a betrayal. Please understand though, Fallout 4 is not a bad game, but Bethesda just prioritized the wrong things in my opinion. The idea of settlements, for example, was pretty cool, but the repetitive missions attached to it ruined something that could have been something more.
I got word of a settlement that needs our help. I'll mark it on your map.
Also, Bethesda made a horrendous decision of making settlement items part of Fallout 4's DLC. We ended up getting 2 proper story DLCs and 4 settlement workshop related DLCs, which was infuriating. At a price of $30, it was worth it, but again, not what fans wanted. Almost everyone would agree that they would have paid a full $60 for 4 story DLCs like Fallout 3 featured. But we also need to bring up the Creation Club. While it's awesome that Bethesda integrated mods into Fallout 4, they also incorporated a monetization scheme long after release. The Creation Club is basically paid mods, and thus far all Bethesda has released for it are things already in the free mod menu, and items from other games like Doom. Essentially, this has been seen as a cash grab and an attempt by Bethesda to nickel and dime players. Looking at what the store has to offer, you pretty much have skins, a few weapons, outfits, and just really a ton of things that you can get for free with mods. The Creation Club could have been something good if there had been value, story expansions, or just quests, but all it has been is different colors for your Pip-Boy and items like Hellfire Power armor that you can access in the free mod menu, which, might I add, the free version is much better than Bethesda's paid one. But again, this is just another mistake that Bethesda has made and really has just turned the community against them. Currently on Metacritic for the PlayStation 4, users have awarded Fallout 4 a 6.6 out of 10, on the Xbox One a 6.4, and PC a 5.4. On Steam, again, you can see a very mixed response with a 6 out of 10 overall. Fallout 4 has been Bethesda's biggest mistake. This is a game that has lost a lot of longtime players and fans. Bethesda's shift to a more general audience and incorporating a monetization scheme in the form of the Creation Club are just some of the bad things that Bethesda has chosen to do, and some of the highlights from the flaws that have plagued Fallout 4. This is considered by many as the worst in the franchise, and not addressing long-time issues such as bugs and their game engine could hurt future titles. CD Projekt Red stole Fallout 4's thunder in 2015 with the release of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and honestly took this gaming industry by surprise. For many, CD Projekt Red has become the new face of how should games be made with a quality and value experience for players. Right now, Bethesda Game Studios needs to establish their identity of who they wish to be, because a lot of the love and support they once had is gone and replaced with skepticism with each and every decision they make nowadays. Can that change? Maybe, but it's sad that one of the most hyped up and anticipated games ever ended up just being okay, plagued by mistake after mistake.
Because entertainment is an essential part of our lives, and games can do things that nothing else in entertainment can. They can transport you to new worlds. They can give you the true wonder of discovery, and often the pride of accomplishing something yourself in a game. It's a wonderful moment.
And again, it just works.
Anyway guys, what do you think of Fallout 4 and this franchise in general? Let me know in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to smack that like button if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.